Hello students. In today's class we are going to discuss about the remaining concepts of NumPy arrays. And now we will discuss about splitting arrays. So splitting arrays is nothing but how to split the original array into two or more subarrays. That is what we are going to discuss now. And this can be done with the help of a function called numpy.split. So using this particular method, we can split an original array into two or more subarrays. So this can be done by specifying the index values where an array is to be split, or we can even specify an integer n, which is the number how much ever how much ever splitations you need. You have to specify the particular integer, that is the dimensions. So according to that, the array will be split into the equal number of parts. And if you see here, this numpy.split function, by default, it splits along axis equal to 0. So axis equal to 0 in the sense along column wise or row wise, we have discussed already in the previous concepts. So let us discuss how to make use of this numpy.split function. For example, here they have created an array with how many rows? You see, if you see here, 5 rows and 4 columns. They have created an array for array 4. And now what we are going to do here is they have given 1 comma 3, which indicates the row indices on which to split the array. So before splitting the array, we have to create the variables, because when we split an original array into sub arrays, two or more sub arrays, we have to assign it to a particular variable so that it will be easy for us to access it later during the program. So that is the reason why we are creating the variables over here. So first, second and third, so totally they have created three variables, and for these three variables they are assigning this particular functions, numpy.split function. In this method, see what they are doing here: array 4 comma, which is the variable name for which we have created the array, and 1 comma 3 we have specified the indices. So what will happen here, starting from the first row till the third row, we are going to split this original array. So let us see how this works now. So when I call this first variable, what happens here is this array 4 is split on the first row. So the first row will be splitted up and it will be stored in the variable first. Clear? That is why this output has been displayed as 10, minus 7, 0 and 20. And when I move to the second variable, what happens? It will start from the second row till the third row. It will be splitted into the subarray and it will be assigned to the variable second. And now what will happen for the third variable is the remaining rows will be assigned to the third variable. So this is how this arrays will be splitted up. And one more example which is much similar to this has been given here: f, s and t, which is first, second and third. So three variables I have created, and for these three variables, see what I have done. And I have given the index values as 1 comma 2. So 1 comma 2, what will happen? For the first variable f, the first row will be splitted up and it will be assigned to f variable. And in the second variable s, again the second row will be split up. And when it comes to the third variable t, what happens? The remaining rows will be assigned to the variable t. So this is how splitting of arrays will take place. Now based on this, we will discuss a few more examples. So see here what they have done. They have provided access equal to 1. So the same number of variables they have created. So totally three variables they have created again. And after providing the sequence of index values, they have provided access equal to 1. So access equal to 1 means it will give you the column indices. That is, column wise splitation will take place. When access equal to 0, row wise splitation will take place. Clear? By default, access will value will be considered as 0, so row wise splits of arrays will take place. But if you provide access equal to 1, column wise splitation will take place. For example, first C variable they have called here, and see this 10, minus 5, 30, 1 and 0 will be the column value. So the first column has been split up. And for the second C variable, again the second column has been split up as a subarray. And for the third C variable, the remaining columns will be retrieved and displayed. So this is how it works. So when we provide access equal to 1, column wise splitation takes place. If we are not going to provide any access values, by default row wise splitation will take place. And even one more alternative you can work on, even you can work with one more alternative. The same number of variables they are going to provide here, and here they have provided only two variables, first half and second half. And for this variable, see what they have assigned: np.split of array 4 comma 2 axis equal to 1. So column wise splitation is confirmed, and this 2 represents we are going to split the array into 2 equal parts. So totally how many columns do we have here? 4 columns. So this 4 columns we are going to split into 2 equal parts by providing this integer 2. Clear? So we can provide the sequence of index values, or we can provide a whole integer to split an array into subarrays. So this is how you can work with splitting arrays. And now we will discuss about the statistical operations on arrays. So statistical operations much similar to the statistical functions which we use in mathematics. So the same kind of functions we are going to use here, but a little different. How it is going to work on arrays, that is what we are going to discuss now. So here they have created two arrays. The first array consists of one-dimensional array, and the second array has been created with a two-dimensional array. And now first function they are going to use here is the max function. So max function, from the name itself you can understand, to find the maximum element from an array we make use of this max function. So if you provide along with a variable array a dot max parenthesis, what happens, see here, whichever maximum element is there in the array, that that element will be retrieved. So 8 is the maximum element, the higher maximum element, so that will be retrieved and displayed here. And array b dot max, when you provide in a 2D array, what happens here, whichever element is maximum from a two-dimensional array, that will be retrieved and displayed. And if you're going to provide axis equal to 1, it will check column wise and it displays a value. So whichever element is maximum, that will be displayed, and it will check column wise. So axis equal to 1 represents column wise. So if you see here, so 3 and 4, if you when you place according to the array, 3, 6, 4 and 2 will be placed here in the row and column wise. So when you look at the column wise, 3 and 4 is lesser when compared to 6 and 2, right? So 6 and 4 will be retrieved over here according to the column wise. From the second column and from the first column, 6 and 4 has been retrieved and displayed. And if axis is going to be 0, it gives the row wise maximum. So row wise maximum means whichever is maximum in the row wise, 6 is greater and 4 is greater. So 4 and 6 will be retrieved. So this is how this maximum function works. And again, minimum function much similar to the maximum function. So whichever value is minimum, that will be retrieved. So if you see here, -3 is the least value, that will be retrieved and displayed. Again in array B, so 2 is the least value, that will be retrieved and displayed here. When you provide axis equal to 0, what will happen? Row wise minimum value will be retrieved. So row wise, which is the minimum value, 3 and 2. So 3 and 2 will be retrieved over here. You understood? And then sum function. So sum function, using this function, actually it finds the sum of all the elements in an array. So sum of all the elements in the array, in the sense when you provide array a dot sum, what happens here is it will add all the elements present in the array. So when you add all these elements which is present in array A, you will be getting 25. Similarly, array B dot sum. So it will add all the elements which you have in the array over here in a two-dimensional array even. And now mean function. So mean function, usually in statistics, mean helps you to find the average number of average of elements of the array. That is, it will add all the elements and divide the result with the total number of elements. So for example, here we have totally 8 elements. So it will add up all the elements and it will divide by 8. So whatever value you get there, that will be the result. So this is how we will find the mean value in statistics. So again, axis equal to 0 means the row wise, and then axis equal to 1 means a column wise operation will take place. Similarly, standard deviation, according to the formula of the standard deviation, this works. So these are the some of the statistical functions which you can perform on NumPy arrays. And now let us discuss about next concept, which is loading arrays from files. So loading arrays from files in the sense, when you create arrays in a text file, or when you create some data in a text file, those data can be uploaded into the NumPy array. So that is what we are going to see now, how to load the files into the NumPy array. So when we load the data in an array, how to process it, all these things we are going to discuss. So to do this process, we make use of a function called numpy.loadText and numpy.genFromText. So by using these two functions, we can load data from the text file. So for example, if we store some data in a notepad, see here, if you are storing some data in a notepad, what will happen? This data can be loaded as an array into the NumPy package, into the NumPy library, right? Into the NumPy programs. See here I have created some data in a notepad, and this data I can load into the NumPy array. So to load that, to do this, we make use of two different functions, numpy.loadText and numpy.genFromText. And the most commonly used file type to handle the large amount of data, if you consider it, is called CSV, that is comma separated values. So comma separated values here, these kinds of files are called CSV files, where comma separated values, and this is such a small set of values. But when we come across some large set of data, in those cases, we will find it very easy to handle such kind of data here in the NumPy array. That is the reason, first of all, why we make use of NumPy arrays. And if you see here, each row in the text file must have the same number of values. So what they're trying to mean here is, when you create some data in a text file, you should create it with the same number of values, in the sense totally the total number of elements should be in an equal quantity, so that it will be easy to load the data from a text file into a NumPy array. Because usually when we create an array, we will provide the equal number of dimensions, right? When we are providing three rows and two columns, we have to provide the elements equally. Otherwise, we cannot find the rank of the array, and we will end up with some confusions. So that is the reason why we have to provide the same number of values in order to load data from a text file. So see here, this is the value which we are going to give in notepad. Yes, so see here, when we see in the notepad, this is the data which I have given here in the notepad, and this data I'm going to load it from the notepad into the NumPy array. So to load this, see what am I going to do? Student data equal to np.loadText. So this is the method which I'm going to use, np.loadText. And within the bracket, what I have to do here is, I have to copy the path where I have stored the notepad file. So this notepad, usually we will be storing in some folder, right? Inside a C drive or D drive, anywhere we will store it instead of storing it in the desktop for safety purposes. So that path I have to copy down. So I have to copy that URL and I have to paste it here. See, inside the C drive, inside NCERT folder, and inside the NCERT folder, I have stored this data.txt file, and that path I have to provide here within the quotes. Followed by that, I have provided three more parameters, which is skip rows, delimiter, and then dtype. So skip rows equal to 1 represents the first row which I have given here as the header in the notepad will be skipped. So to skip this header, to skip this first row, I have provided skip rows equal to 1, because when we are loading the data into a NumPy array, we have to load only the numbers instead of the characters. So that is the reason why this particular parameter has been used, skip rows equal to 1. And delimiter equal to comma, it helps you to specify commas in between the values when we load the data into the NumPy array. And data type equal to int. By default, NumPy arrays, I have told you, everything will be loaded as floating point values if you're not going to specify the data types. So to load all the values into integer data type, we have specified the data type as int. Clear? And now see here, when I call the student data variable, the values which I have stored here in the notepad will be loaded as an array over here inside the IDLE environment. Yes, 136.1857, 136.1857, which I have stored in notepad, has been loaded over here in NumPy by using this load text function. Now you understood how to load the text file into an text file into this NumPy array as an array. Now, one more example I have given here, sd equal to np.loadText. So np.loadText of here within this F drive, inside F drive 2020 work stuff class 11 folder, I have stored the file name as csv file example slash, inside this folder I have stored data.txt. So this particular path I have to copy from the address bar and I have to paste it here, and again I'm using the parameter skip rows equal to 1, delimiter equal to comma, and dtype equal to int. So when I call SD, what happens? The array which I have saved here in the text file will be loaded as an array. The data which I have stored here in the notepad will be loaded as an array, and because of the delimiter, this comma has been specified in between these values, in between these elements. Now you understood. So again, regarding the skip rows and then delimiter and about the data type, they have explained over here. And one more thing, it is not that we have to load the entire data as an array. It is also possible to load the array as a separate row, or it is also possible to extract each and every row separately from an array. So to do that, we have to make use of a parameter called unpack. So to load each row or column of the data file into different NumPy arrays, we make use of the parameter called unpack. So by default, the unpack parameter will be set to false. And when it is going to be false, it will extract each row of the data as a separate array. But if unpack is going to be true, it will extract the column as a separate array. You understood? If unpack is going to be false, it will extract each row as a each row of the data. Whereas if unpack equal to true, it will extract the column of the data. Clear? So see this example. How much ever rows we have created, that many variables we have to create here. So totally 5 variables they have given here, student 1 till student 5. And for that, what they have done, np.load text of the path. I have to provide the path here within the quotes. Again, skip rows equal to 1, delimiter equal to comma, and dtype equal to int. And unpack parameter has not been provided, which means by default it will be considered as false, and it will extract each and every row of the array. So if I call student1 variable, see the first row will be accessed. 1, 36, 18 and 57 will be accessed. See 1, 36, 18 and 57. That will be accessed from the array. Again, if I call the second variable student2, 2, 22, 23 and 45 will be accessed. See here 2, 22, 23 and 45. So it goes on till the student 5 variable. And by in case if I'm going to provide the unpack parameter as true, see again they have created few more variables for a different example. So roll number, marks 1, marks 2 and marks 3. So as I'm going to extract the columns, I have provided these variables. So unpack equal to 2 I have provided. So roll number variable, if I'm going to call, it will access the column values, right? 1 2 3 4 5. See in the column what do you have here? 1 2 3 4 5. Yes, that will be accessed. And the second column you have 36 22 43. So that will be accessed. Can you see the difference? So this is how this is the difference between unpack equal to true and unpack equal to false. And the next function, so far we have discussed about the load text function. Right, numpy.load text function, and now we will discuss about gen from text. So generate from text. Actually, this is another function which actually which helps you to load data from files, but the same, it works much similar to the load text, but the only difference is that it can also handle the missing values in the data file, as well as it can also handle the characters, right? So let us see how this works now. In case if you are going to save this particular data in your notepad, after saving and you're providing the path over here, and by using the function gen from text, you're going to provide skip here, skip header equal to 1 and delimiter equal to comma. All these things we have provided now. So if you notice here, uh, two values are totally missing. One is in the second row, actually one student is absent, so we have specified as AB, and here one mark is missing. So how to handle these missing values, that will be done with the help of this gen from text. So to handle this missing values, when you use gen from text, what will happen? By default, this character as well as the missing value will be replaced with NaN, which is non-numeric data or not a number. So that will be replaced with a particular character NaN, which means not a number. And here data type has not been provided. So by default, what will happen? Everything will be displayed with dot to represent that it belongs to the floating point data type. Now you understood. And this can also be replaced with some values even. I mean the missing values as well as the characters can be replaced with some values. Those are called filling values. Using the parameter filling values, we can specify the values on our own in case if the value is going to be missed or if there are any characters in between. So if you see here, gen from text, again they have provided the path, then filling value is equal to minus triple nine they have given. So what will happen, in the place of absent, minus triple nine will be replaced. Again in the place of missing value, minus triple nine will be replaced. So this is how this gen from text will work. Yes, few more examples they have given for this gen from text. Here I have provided the here I have so if you see here, see data type I have provided as int, so there will be no precision points. And again if you see over here, I have not provided the data type, so it has been displayed with the precision points, as well as in the place of missing values, NaN has been displayed, which is not a number. Clear? So this is how it works. And finally, saving numpy arrays and files on disk. So numpy arrays, how to save numpy arrays directly from the files on disk, that is what we are going to discuss now. So using the save text function, what we can do is we can save a numpy array to a text file. That is, when you're working with a numpy array, directly that array values you can save it as a text file. So to work on this, we make use of this save text function. So usually what we have done so far, from the text file you have loaded the values as into a numpy array, right? So loading text from files, that is what we have discussed so far. But now from array itself, how to save it as a text file, that is what we are going to discuss. So using the save text function, see what they have done. You can give the file name as well as the location within the save text parameter, within the save text function, and student data, which is the variable name which you have used for creating the array, and delimiter, and the fmt represents the format. So in which format you wanted to save all the arrays, whether in floating point type or else in the integer per type, because the default data type is float, right, in numpy array. So they have provided the format as percentage %i, which represents the integer format. So it will be saved in the integer format. And we have come to the end of this chapter. I hope you understood all the concepts regarding this NumPy arrays, and we will meet with a new lesson in the next class. Thank you, children.